Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got an update coming out from Belarus that I want to share with you. We've got huge news here that Alexander Lukashenko, during an interview today, has basically threatened the use of nuclear weapons if their border is violated. Okay, so this is absolutely huge. What's been happening in Belarus lately? Well, just about maybe 3-4 days ago, we had reports that Ukrainian drones supposedly had flown into Belarusian territory. They had to shoot them down, and when they shot them down, they accused Ukraine of attacking them. So they put a bunch of military equipment, hardware on their border, also deployed a bunch of troops to the border of Ukraine. Okay, and then soon after that, like a day later, we heard that Belarus was going to be transferring a bunch of military hardware from their own active units over to Russia to back them, as apparently they are short on military hardware and equipment to fight the war that's currently breaking out in the Kursk region, as the Ukrainians have rushed into the Kursk region of Russia, taking over vast amounts of territory. We've been covering that almost every single day lately. So the war is obviously expanding over here in the Russia-Ukraine region. And I want to talk some more about this because he definitely made a major statement here regarding nuclear weapons, that if their border is violated in any way, they might possibly use them. Now, this is huge because this could definitely lead to a major nuclear war. And obviously, what's happening in the Kursk region right now of Russia is very dangerous also. I was expecting a major response from Vladimir Putin. Could this potentially move things in the nuclear direction? I mean, this is already a huge statement right here. So what he said was Minsk saw no reason to use Russian nuclear weapons deployed on Belarusian territory last year unless its borders were violated. We are not going to use any weapons until you step on our state border. Okay, so basically saying if you step on our border, we may possibly deploy nuclear weapons and strike the Ukrainians and obviously NATO mercenaries that are pushing into Russia right now. This is NATO as well. So NATO troops could also potentially be struck. Okay, so this is absolutely huge. I want to talk some more about this with this article on Reuters. It says Belarus's Lukashenko urged Russia and Ukraine to end war as Kursk incursion continues. Okay, this came out today. Here's the Belarusian president, Alexander Lukashenko, Vladimir Putin, Russian president. And it says here, Russia and Ukraine should negotiate an end to their conflict to avoid war spilling over into Belarus. President Alexander Lukashenko, a key ally of Vladimir Putin, said in an interview with Russian state television. Lukashenko was speaking against the backdrop of a Ukrainian incursion into Russia that began on August 6, when thousands of Kiev's troops smashed through Russia's western border in a major embarrassment for Putin's top military brass. Something I want to note real quick before we move on is how come all of a sudden Alexander Lukashenko wants Russia and Ukraine to come to the drawing table and negotiate? Why all of a sudden? Is this because he's worried that a major incursion could happen into his country, maybe collapse his presidency, or what would happen here? Would the Belarusians even put up a fight if that were to be the case? I have no idea, but we even had reports that the weaponry inside of Belarus could be extremely low. Okay, they could have really low amounts of weapons and tanks and military hardware in general. We had some reports of that the other day. So is Lukashenko like telegraphing the fact that he's not prepared to fight against the Ukrainians if they were to push into his territory? Who knows here, but it says in a wide-ranging interview, Lukashenko said that only high-ranking people of American origin wanted the Ukraine-Russia war to continue. The West, he said, was encouraging Kiev to fight because it wants Ukraine and Russia to destroy each other. According to excerpts of the nearly 2-hour interview published on Thursday on the Belarusian presidential website, Russia said on Thursday that it would beef up its border defenses as hundreds of thousands of people were ordered to evacuate the western Kursk region. Kiev said its forces have advanced 35 kilometers or 22 miles into Russia since last week and continue to gain ground. Lukashenko suggested, without providing evidence, that Kiev could have designs on attacking Belarus, and said that Minsk would not allow Ukrainian troops to trample on our country. Okay, so he is suggesting that Ukraine could potentially attack, and maybe this could be the case. Who knows? I mean, they are starting to expand further west and east as they push into the Kursk region that Ukraine is, as they push in. So who knows? Maybe they could go after Belarus next. There's definitely some worries about that. And it says the Ukrainian military did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The Belarusian leader has positioned himself as a main backer of Putin since the Russian president ordered the full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, part of which was staged from Belarusian soil. Instead of allowing battles to rage on, Lukashenko urged talks. Let's sit down at the negotiating table and end this brawl. He said neither the Ukrainian people nor the Russians nor the Belarusians need it. They, the West, need it. Moscow has said any peace talks should be based on Ukraine ceding land amounting to a fifth of its territory, much of it seized by Russian forces. Ukraine says Kiev would be prepared for talks provided Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity were fully respected. Okay, so regarding that, we know that Russia, with their conditions for a ceasefire, they want Ukraine to give up the land that's been taken from them, and they want Ukraine to withdraw from the borders that are currently drawn right now in this fight on the eastern side of Ukraine, along with Crimea. And then also, we know that Ukraine has come out many times and said, well, we're not going to negotiate at all unless you completely leave our country and give all of our territory back. I would assume that includes Crimea, but I'm not 100% on that. But definitely, the Donetsk region, Donbass, Zaporizhia, Kherson, all those areas that are taken right now on the eastern side of Ukraine, they want it back, okay? And then also, if you notice here that the Belarusian president, Lukashenko, mentioning that he says here that the West needs this war, okay? He says, let's end this brawl. The West need it. Obviously, the West is generating billions upon billions of dollars off this war. I wouldn't even be surprised we're in the trillions by now. Who knows? The amount of weaponry that is being sent to Ukraine, all these defense contractors and manufacturers are just making insane amounts of money off this war. And why would they want it to stop? They're all getting rich off of this, okay? So that's obviously a big reason why this war is probably still continuing today, okay? So let's keep going. Lukashenko charged that the West was betting that the destabilizing situation in Kursk would encourage a troop mobilization in both Belarus and Russia and shake up society from within. We don't want escalation, and we don't want a war against the whole of NATO. We don't want that, he said. But if Ukraine does provoke Belarus, Lukashenko cautioned, we'll have no other choice. Lukashenko referred to the conflict as a common war of Belarus and Russia against those beasts, Kiev and its Western allies, and said Moscow would back us up if Belarus was attacked. On Saturday, Minsk said it was sending troops to reinforce its southern border with Ukraine after accusing Kiev of violating its airspace with drones. Kiev said it had seen no signs of such a buildup. We talked about that already. Lukashenko repeated the claims about airspace violations and said that Belarusian troops were being dispatched to the border to prevent a breakthrough. He said Minsk saw no reason to use Russian nuclear weapons deployed on Belarusian territory last year unless its borders were violated. We are not going to use any weapons until you step on our state border, he said. Okay, so definitely this to me sounds like a nuclear weapon threat. The fact that he mentioned here prior to that statement, he said Minsk saw no reason to use Russian nuclear weapons, okay, unless its borders were violated. Okay, so once they step on their borders, that's when they could potentially use nuclear weapons. Okay, now I've been hearing some reports, some people saying that maybe they don't even have nuclear weapons, that this could just be a bluff, who knows. But apparently, according to the Russians, they have given them at least tactical nuclear weapons. They have Iskander ballistic missile systems, which can be fitted with tactical nuclear warheads. So who knows what's going to happen here, but this is obviously a major, major threat that's going out to Ukraine. And if Ukraine plans to invade Belarus at some point, could they deploy their nuclear weapons? Maybe. And this would obviously definitely spike this war and push it out of control very quickly. If any nuclear weapon is detonated in this war at all, we're obviously going to have chaos here, okay? And this could make markets crash throughout the world, escalate things like crazy. We could definitely move into a World War III situation, and we could have nuclear weapons flying all over the place. Who knows? But this is obviously very, very dangerous, okay? And that's why I wanted to share this with you guys. Who knows what's going to happen over here? But at the same time, if we look at what's happening in the Kursk region of Russia right now, this has definitely opened a whole new avenue of potentiality in this war, of things that could happen. And we could see this war completely shift into a different direction. And I also mentioned recently, too, in our last video today, that this war could definitely escalate very quickly out of control, and who knows which direction it's going to go. And, could we see potentially Russia using nuclear weapons as well? I mean, they're doing tactical nuclear weapon drills right now in their own country. So We'll have to see what's going to happen here, but I just wanted to share some of these details with you and let you know what Alexander Lukashenko was mentioning because it's obviously a huge statement. Let me know what you think down below. That's going to be it for this update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, I hope y'all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.